The seeds in my hand are 800 years old. Not the packet, the actual genetic line. These carrots survived the Black Death, the Little Ice Age, and every brutal winter that killed weaker varieties. They grew food when snow covered the ground for months. No greenhouse, no heating system, no fertilizer truck, just seeds that knew how to survive what modern vegetables cannot. A farmer in Yorkshire still plants the exact same line his family has grown since 1347. His carrots push through frozen soil in January while your grocery store ships theirs from California. These seeds have been systematically removed from every commercial catalog for one simple reason. They work too well without any help. What happens to a society when its food supply becomes dependent on corporations? Well, when the $240 billion global seed industry forces farmers to buy new seeds every single season, we've moved from independence to subscription. Modern hybrid varieties cannot reproduce true to type, creating permanent customer dependency by design. Think about this. The average American drives to grocery stores 2.3 times per week for vegetables, shipped an average of 1,500 miles. If they want to grow their own food in winter, that requires heated greenhouses costing $15,000 to $50,000 to install and maintain. This is by design. Anything that grows without annual purchases has been quietly eliminated from commercial availability. Seeds that can reproduce themselves are the enemy of quarterly profits. This is the incredible story of the seeds that fed civilization through ice ages and the industry terrified you might plant them. Well, it's welcome to Forbidden Camping, where we crack open the vaults that big agriculture desperately locks shut. If these stories matter to you, hit subscribe and ring the bell to never miss a vault we open. Today, we expose how medieval genetics outperform modern science and reveal the knowledge that could end your grocery store dependency forever. The year is 1347. Monks at Canterbury Abbey meticulously record their winter harvest in Latin manuscripts that still exist today. Their detailed growing journals document over 40 vegetable varieties thriving through winter without protection. No greenhouse technology, no plastic covers, no imported fertilizers. Just carefully selected genetics that understood how to convert sunlight to food even when frost covered the ground. From 1300 to 1700, what Europe experienced what historians now call the Little Ice Age. Thames River frost fairs were held on ice thick enough to support markets and festivals. Winters were brutal, with average temperatures dropping several degrees across the continent. Yet somehow, European farmers survived centuries of these conditions using cold, hardy varieties that modern agriculture has completely abandoned. The evidence isn't hidden. It's documented. Yorkshire carrots planted continuously since 1347 still grow in the same fields today. German winter kale varieties developed in the 1200s survived temperatures that would instantly kill modern hybrids. French turnips were specifically bred to improve their flavor after frost, a concept modern agriculture struggles to comprehend. Monastic seed preservation wasn't just a hobby, it was survival technology. And monks maintained genetic lines for over 800 years, understanding that community resilience depended on hardy varieties that performed when conditions were worst. Pre-industrial food security wasn't built on shipping networks and refrigerated trucks. Medieval communities achieved year-round fresh food production in climates that modern farming calls impossible for unprotected growing. Everything you've seen so far barely scratches the surface of what big agriculture buried. I've collected every medieval growing technique and every heirloom variety they tried to erase, all inside the complete Forbidden Camping Vault package. Ancient preservation methods that keep seeds viable for decades, cold hardy varieties that laugh at frost and produce food when hybrids die. The link's in the description. But stay here because this documentary just began. Is this just nostalgia for simpler times? Far from it. Modern scientific research validates everything medieval growers knew intuitively. A 2019 Cornell University study compared heirloom varieties with their modern commercial counterparts. The results were staggering. Medieval genetics showed 300% better cold tolerance than commercial hybrids grown under identical conditions. The USDA's own genetic diversity research reveals an alarming truth. 90% of vegetable varieties available in 1900 are now extinct from commercial catalogs. Not because they failed to perform, because they failed to generate recurring revenue. Even the Svalbard Global Seed Vault data confirms what medieval growers knew. In stress testing under extreme conditions, more medieval varieties consistently outperform modern genetics. Independent growing trials conducted by universities worldwide show side-by-side comparisons with heirloom varieties producing fresh food through temperatures as low as -10 degrees Fahrenheit, while their modern counterparts wither and die. Perhaps most telling is the nutritional analysis. Medieval varieties contain 40 to 60% higher mineral content than modern hybrids. The vitamins and nutrients our ancestors received from a single carrot would require eating 3 or 4 modern carrots. Modern agriculture has sacrificed nutrition for traits that benefit the supply chain: uniform size, simultaneous ripening, and cosmetic appearance, all at the expense of what made vegetables worth eating in the first place. But if medieval varieties perform so well, why aren't they widely available? Well, here's where the story gets darker. Between the 1930s and 1950s, seed companies discovered they could create varieties that couldn't reproduce consistently, forcing annual repurchases. The hybrid revolution wasn't primarily about improving crops, it was about improving profit margins. Once farmers planted these new hybrids, saving seeds became pointless, as the next generation would not grow true to type. An agricultural dependency was created virtually overnight. But the exploitation didn't stop there. The patent system, originally designed to protect true innovation, was weaponized against farmers. Companies now own genetic sequences, making seed saving illegal for patented varieties. And a farmer who saves seeds from patented crops can be sued for patent infringement, a legal framework that would be completely incomprehensible to our ancestors. Today, just 3 companies, Monsanto, now Bayer, Syngenta, and Corteva, control 60% of global seed sales worth $60 billion annually. This isn't diversification, it's monopolization of the food supply. These same companies happen to sell the fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides that their proprietary seeds require to grow properly. A remarkable coincidence if you believe in coincidences. Modern varieties are deliberately bred to require fertilizers, pesticides, and controlled environments. It's planned obsolescence in agriculture, the same strategy that ensures your smartphone needs replacing every few years. But now it's controlling what you eat. Well, perhaps most alarming is the systematic catalog elimination. Heirloom varieties have been methodically removed from commercial availability to eliminate competition. Seeds that once appeared in every catalog now exist only in specialized collections and family heirlooms passed down through generations that refuse to surrender their food independence. If you've made it this far, you know more about food security than 99% of people buying groceries today. Subscribe and share this with someone who needs to remember what their great-grandmother knew about growing food. Everything big agriculture buried is inside the complete vault. The medieval farmers were right, and the seed companies know it. This knowledge could change how you eat forever. I want to be clear about honest limitations. Medieval varieties may look different from grocery store perfection. Some have lower yields but higher nutrition. They weren't bred for uniformity. They were bred for survival and flavor. Your winter carrots might be gnarlier than what's in the produce section, but they'll be growing when the produce section is empty. If you want to find authentic seeds, organizations like Seed Savers Exchange, Southern Exposure Seed Exchange, and Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds preserve genetics that big companies abandoned. There are even specific monastery collections still maintaining original lines, preserving living history that corporate catalogs eradicated. Medieval winter growing techniques don't require modern technology. Simple cold frames, wooden boxes with glass or clear plastic tops create microenvironments that protect crops through freezing temperatures. Root cellars store harvest through winter without electricity. Succession planting methods ensure continuous harvests by starting new crops as others mature. Start with specific varieties known for cold hardiness. Siberian kale survives temperatures down to minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit and actually becomes sweeter after frost. Purple top turnips improve their flavor after freezing temperatures, converting starches to sugars when modern varieties would be dead. Chantenay carrots grow in frozen soil and continue developing even when surface temperatures would kill modern hybrids. Now consider the economics. A $3 packet of heirloom seeds contains enough genetic potential to feed your family for months and save seeds for years to come. Compare that to $200 plus monthly grocery bills for inferior vegetables shipped across continents. One investment versus never-ending expense. Which makes more sense for true food security? The winter garden was never a luxury for our ancestors. It was essential survival technology. Medieval Europeans didn't have the option to drive to Walmart when snow covered the ground. They developed varieties that performed precisely when needed most. These genetics didn't stop working. They were systematically replaced with genetics that require you to remain a customer. This knowledge never disappeared from Earth. It was buried under $240 billion of marketing and patent law. Well, your great-great-grandmother saved seeds every fall and grew fresh food through every winter. Medieval monks preserved these genetics through 800 years of climate disasters because they understood survival wasn't negotiable. The seeds are still there, hidden in small catalogs and family collections, waiting for someone to remember their power. Today, watching this documentary, you just connected every dot between medieval wisdom and modern deception. The Dutch winter-growing techniques called hackcellen, using layers of decomposing organic material to generate natural heat under growing beds, allowed fresh vegetables in snowbound communities centuries before greenhouse technology existed. The 17th century French cloche system, using bell-shaped glass covers, created microclimates that extended growing seasons by months. Now, these weren't high-tech solutions, they were elegant applications of understanding how plants actually work. Perhaps most fascinating is how medieval growers understood plant genetics intuitively. They practiced selective seed saving based on performance and stress conditions, creating vegetable varieties with genetic switches that activate precisely when temperatures drop. Modern science is only beginning to understand the epigenetic responses these plants developed over centuries of careful selection. Consider the economics from a community perspective. A small medieval village could maintain complete vegetable independence through winter with techniques requiring zero fossil fuel input. Compare that to our modern system where a single winter storm can empty grocery shelves within hours. Which system demonstrates true resilience? Well, the irony is palpable. We've been told our food system represents progress, yet it's exponentially more vulnerable than what our ancestors created with far simpler tools. They understood something we've forgotten. True food security comes from adapting to nature, not attempting to override it. If this vault opens something for you, subscribe and share it. Every share preserves what they tried to patent out of existence. The next vault reveals something even more suppressed about food independence, techniques our great-grandparents used to preserve harvests for years without refrigeration or electricity. The seeds of resilience remain alive, buried under corporate catalogs, but never truly gone. Must they wait in the soil of small farms and in carefully preserved collections for people who remember that food security begins with independence? 800 years of agricultural wisdom didn't fail. It was deliberately replaced with a system that requires you to remain a permanent customer. The choice is yours. Remain dependent on a fragile system that ships your food thousands of miles, or reclaim the knowledge that fed civilizations through ice ages and plagues. Your ancestors knew how to feed themselves in January. Perhaps it's time we remembered how they did it.